5 o'clock. Ready to get going, everybody? Who's got the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, sorry, Pat, I didn't even see you on there.
I didn't know you were here.
I was hollow, baby.
We got you one.
Yes. The roll, Sue?
Okay, Mr. Arcuri?
Here.
Mr. Bova? Mr. Brodsky? Mr. Core? Mr. Coyne?
Here.
Mr. D'Elia?
Here.
Mr. Ford? Mr. Kane?
Here.
Mr. Karam?
Here.
Mr. Matolo?
Here.
Ms. Chesney?
Hi, here.
And Mr. Wallace?
Thank you. We have the June 19, 2017 draft minutes in the packet. Is there a motion to approve? Second?
Yes, okay. Scares me.
Any corrections, deletions, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. We have a resolution regarding our participation in joint Westmoreland and Kirkland Water Extension Project.
That's going to be Dick, but I just want to take a quick second on some quick background. Some of you that have been here a long time remember that when we had the lawsuit against the state of New York and the Canal Corporation, we had some projects that got frozen out as collateral damage in that. One of them was the fact that the town of Kirkland had a project plan at the time, actually had funding lined up from the state revolving fund. I believe it was about $1.9 million. They were ready to start the project, had to turn the money back in because the DEC clamped down and wouldn't let us have that project go forward. They were looking for, at the time, it was only 30 or 40 houses that they wanted to hook up. It was a real de minimis amount of water. But they weren't allowed to proceed. They had to turn the money back in. And here we are now about 13 or 14 years later. It's a different project and they're cooperating with a neighboring town and they're going to do a joint project. But at that time, we had agreed to contribute some funding to it. When you have partnering, it allows them to get higher points and move them up higher on the funding list when the state is considering the awards. So Dick will take it from there.
Yeah, I went to a meeting late June with the joint town boards and they decided to cooperate on this project, move to the next step. It's about a $7.5 million project, about 8 miles of pipe, eventually multi-phase. What they're looking at now is funding from state, federal sources, also possible private financing through Indian Corp, which wants a main on Robinson Road, and also, which is a little unusual, HUD financing because of a modular home community that has water problems on Martin Drive. So the funding's coming from a multiple of sources. But as Pat mentioned, much of the scope of this encompasses the older projects from back in the early 2000s. But a nominal commitment of $25,000 from the board will allow them to perhaps score additional points because they like the intermunicipal cooperation and, of course, consolidation. The towns would undertake the projects, all environmental, all design, all construction to our standards. We acquire them at the end for as part of our physical system and agree to operate, maintain, and retail bill, provide water to the users. But it's very early. If the project went forward smoothly, it would be probably at least a year before we'd have to contribute the $25,000. And this is the type of project we may come back to before the board where we want to possibly upsize mains. There's also a possibility of a tank construction project as part of this, but that would be at a later date. So at this point, we're just looking for a $25,000.
So again, this reads is only if the $7.5 million is approved?
Correct. Yeah.
So okay. I'll move it.
Sounds good to me.
And this is where in the budget? Dick, out of our capital?
It would come out of our operations budget at the time. We could take it out of this cash maintenance reserve or if there were other places.
Where are they, Robinson Road and all that, what are the two? One's Kirkland.
Yeah, Kirkland, Route 5, out to into Martin, part of Kirkland, Robinson Road.
Oh, Westmoreland.
Then in Westmoreland, it's Route 233
Yep,
up to east-south.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Rate consultant.
Yep. Also in your packet, you should have a copy of a letter that was the proposal that came from, I'm sorry, Susan?
said it's under miscellaneous.
Oh, yeah, on the miscellaneous tab in your book. It says Amaloc, it's Ed Marcus. Ed Marcus has been a rate consultant for the Water Authority since our inception, essentially. And what we mean by rate consultant is the fact that we have a legal obligation to hire an external consultant to review our rate structure and budget as we move through our annual process of setting a budget for the following fiscal year. The rate consultant is essentially representing the bondholders' interests and certifying that the budget that we set meets all of our existing needs, is adequate to run the system and preserve the revenue stream so we can pay off bonds. That's essentially how it comes about. So every year we have this obligation to hire a rate consultant as we're drafting our budget, and the rate consultant then provides you as board members the comfort of his certification that says this budget works and it meets all of our revenue needs. The consultant, Ed Marcus, who used to work for Black & Veatch, now has his own company, Amaloc Consulting, has been doing this, as I said, for years. He had his last engagement with us was a 3-year engagement. Last year was the last year. So he is currently without an engagement, which might ask the question, well, why don't we do an RFP? Ed has all these spreadsheets set up and is intimately familiar with our whole budget and is able to work real closely with Jim and Scott to do this very quickly. So his cost has only been a little over $5,000 a year. To do an RFP and move this off to someone else, they would spend probably 2 months just learning about our budget and setting up the spreadsheets and asking a lot of questions. Our guess is it would probably be 3 times that cost. So he's proposed a 3-year engagement starting at roughly $6,000 and just escalating 3% a year for the following 2 years after that.
We're required to do that anyways when we have a rate, or if we go in for a rate increase, right? Don't we have to have, isn't there a model that we have tested?
Even if there's no rate increase, we still have to certify that the budget meets the revenue needs.
Yes, I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, we have to hire someone to do this. The question is, do we want to retain Ed, or do we want to have someone else start from scratch?
But you're recommending them.
We're recommending that we stick with Ed. He's very reasonable in cost and, asks a lot of great questions, but he understands our answers because of his familiarity with his system. Somebody else would probably take a much, much longer time to do that. And as we're heading into August, we'll begin drafting the budget in late August for your review in September and October. So,
Just out of curiosity.
Yes.
How does your procurement policy work to award contracts? Is there a dollar limit where you can use your best judgment to award without?
yeah, I guess I would defer to Jim on this because this falls into a strange category.
Well, it's a professional service.
I understand.
And it's
Yeah.
over,
Don't we have a dollar amount?
yeah, it's over
It's
$5,000.
Oh, it is
that would come
$5,000.
to the board.
Okay, then I misspoke.
It's over $5,000 for a professional service contract.
Right.
That would come to the board.
Yeah, and I guess the real question, and I know where you're going with this, Frank, is what constitutes professional service versus a service?
Accounting, engineering.
You know, so yeah, something a little bit different than that, because I don't know if IT stuff is in the same category
I was
as, say,
thinking
an
more
article.
was a question more about, do you need to have an RFP?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Right.
Not
Oh, I see what
whether or
you're
not it's
saying.
professional. service.
Oh, the board can vote either way. The board, if the board wants to do something different than the existing
that's-
policy, the
that's
board
what-
can do
that's
that.
what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah,
But we don't have to.
right. And if it was under $5,000, it wouldn't have to come to the board.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that. That's what I was asking.
Anything
Is
else,
there a
Frank?
dollar limit that triggers
But
it?
there's no legal requirement that we have to do an RFP. We're not bound by the same procurement laws that governs municipalities, for example.
There's a first for a motion to approve, then second.
Second.
Did you have anything else, Frank? No. Anybody else on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Next item is our first quarter investment statement, Jim.
Yes. In your booklet is the first quarter of 2017 year, showing the balances that we have in the trust funds and interest earned and in the expenses that are related to this. Public authorities law requires that we provide you this quarterly statement, and if you have any questions, certainly can answer that.
Here's your numbers.
Anything from our bank president, CEO?
He's giving you all these right now.
When a guy's going down just like
The
this.
majority of these are either in
Understand
CDs or money markets.
Any questions
Are
for
you
Jim?
satisfied?
Yeah, I mean, knowing where the rates are, I mean, I guess the only thing you could really look forward to is there could be a possibility that rates may start to go up a little
Right,
bit, tweak
right.
up a little bit, but I don't think you're gonna see it.
They range, the CDs range from 6 months to a couple years.
I guess my only question would be, you could probably get higher rates, obviously, if you lock it up longer.
Right.
And it's more of a decision that, you know,
Right.
for you, if you think we need liquidity versus if you could lock it up longer and get
Right,
a higher
it's-
rate.
and most of these cases, it's construction fund money, so we sit down with Dick and we go through seeing what we need over the summer in order
Right.
to make our hair.
So if it has to stay liquid, I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Unlike the reserve funds that we can lock up for a while.
Yeah.
I would note that bank interest rates on loans have been going up, but for whatever that's worth.
Well, that's the way we make our money.
Any other questions for Jim regarding this? We need approval on this, Jim?
Yes.
A motion? There's one, two. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Committee reports, anything on the finances? Jim?
No, we're at our halfway point for the year, and consumption is surprisingly very even compared to last year. So we're actually, I think, hopefully we've turned the corner here where, if you can recall, this time last year compared to the previous year, we were down. So it looks like we're pretty consistent with last year, and hopefully in the years to come, things will start going up. Overall revenues are up a couple $100,000, expenses are a little down right now, so we have a good bottom line. Cash flow, we're actually doing very well, so.
That's interesting too, with all the rain we've had, you would think that, you know, the consumption would be down a little bit. I mean, that's a good
You know, you
sign,
think people would
but-
drink more water.
Yeah, I don't know.
Someone's washing their basements out, I think.
Yeah, that's,
Well, I mean, just, you know, like watering lawns.
No one's watering lawns, that's
No.
for sure. So we're doing all right.
Golf course.
Any questions for Jim? Thank you. Operations, Frank, do you have anything?
Yeah, there was an RFP put out for general networking services that with an award to Capro Technologies. They're what, $2 an hour more than John out of Syracuse. Response time is greater, and they've been very reliable. It doesn't require any approval, just informational purposes.
It's an annual maintenance thing that we do with our firewall security and other server activities and such. It's IT support services.
And the Operations Committee met on the 13th to discuss the cybersecurity audit. We've asked the council to provide some information on liability insurance, professional liability insurance, and possible bonding, because it is a lot at stake. The council's going to provide some information on that. We have some interviews set up with a few of the larger bidders to discuss the parameters of their bid. We're going to try to do it this week. One of the bidders can't make it, so we're going to put it off until a week.
August 3rd?
August 3rd, right, because Jim Mack's going on vacation for this coming week. So we'll get back to you on progress of that.
And Frank, if I could add a clarification, when Frank said possible bonding, we're talking performance bonds that
Performance
David
bond.
supplied, not us bonding to pay for it. It's not,
No.
it's not that expensive. Well, it's pretty high
Insurance
cost.
and all.
Great. Anything else, Frank?
No, it's,
Thank you. Our brief executive director's report.
I will be brief. No, I just want to mention that, as you all know, last month we approved the contract for the operation of the treatment plant with the company Suez, and the transition is proceeding fairly smoothly, I think. And I just wanted to let you know that as of today, well, as of last week, they did in fact convey offers to every employee up there. Two of those employees have actually decided to enact their retirement and start their pensions, while also retaining employment with Suez. And there are two employees in that boat that are actually trying to negotiate maybe splitting a shift and both working part-time, and that'll be between them and the new employer. But, you know, as we had hoped, at this point, nobody's been put out on unemployment, and it looks like there probably won't even be an employee that we would bring back on our side as we anticipated we might need to. And so everybody's going to be gainfully employed, and things are on schedule. Phil, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think we're doing well.
I've reached out to their communications department, and they are probably going to be on site August 1st, and we'll be looking, I think, at that point to do a joint statement together and a little bit of a media accessibility thing. So if that's the case, then we'll get that out to everybody ahead of time, and you'll be able to see the media release and the scheduling of the activity in case you want to join in and be there. But at this point, August 1st looks like we'll make it a little bit more of a formal public announcement. That's it. Unless there's any questions for me. Yes, sir.
Anything new on the Prospect property evaluation?
We've commissioned a appraisal, and that should be done over a couple of weeks.
Found a guy?
He had an open space in his schedule, so we're gonna get it done a little bit sooner than I thought. So hopefully, before the next meeting, we should definitely have something.
Well, and I thought I'd mention quickly too, when we were talking about the contract with Suez, there was one concern that was raised about our data and protection of our data, and because the contract was not executed yet, it did take the liberty of discussing it with their lead attorney, who very readily agreed to put language in there protecting our data. So there is now a clause in the final executed contract that says our data belongs to us. They are not permitted to share it with anybody without our express written consent, etc. So I just wanted to mention that that concern was heard and was actually incorporated into the agreement. Other than that, unless there's another question, I'll be brief.
Any other questions for Pat? Any old business? Any new business? We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.